APLD is setting up for a massive movement up, breaking out of this pennant-like structure. Now will price tighten and find that squeeze-like effect, or a seller's going to break us through this ascending support. Now getting started on the weekly, guys, we see a very obvious descending channel that was our main focus leading up to this big movement, hitting that 1542 level, which would be all-time high levels. Now we see a lot of chop below that rough $7 psychological level, right? Takes price a bit to get above that. Chop around for around 3 months. Then we get back below that range, try to peek over that. Gets shut down a bit harder, creating a lower low. Once again, retest that range, create a higher low, showing a little bit of bullish momentum stepping in. And we break through that range once and for all. Sellers try to push us back down, but we break through it once again, showing that we are ready for new price action. But we end up hitting that ceiling of $11, just like we hit right here, guys. And this leads us to this descending channel, getting back under that $7 level. But then price finds a very nice ascending support here, and we end up breaking through that $7 level. Takes around another week to find that big movement up, but we end up getting an extremely volatile movement all the way to all-time highs of 1542. And guys, this is around a week of time. After finding that break of $7 again, we see 1 week of extreme price action. We're talking around 100% move within 1 week. And we do see a little bit of retracement as sellers try to step in. They correct around half of that movement, and then a little bit more than half as we meet back up with that ascending support. But once we hit that ascending support, buyers once again find a very nice green wide bar, roughly engulfing the last 4 weekly candles. That's where we meet back up with this resistance, and sellers try to push us back down. So it seems like we are tightening up a little bit after a big movement up, but definitely favored by the buyers as sellers couldn't push us all the way down from that movement. We finally broken out of that $7 resistance once again after that's been stubborn, and we see buyers step right back in after that smaller retracement. And now we're seeing signs of possible tightening price action before another big leg up. Now, taking a look on the daily chart, we see a better perspective of what price did, right? We got above that $7 level after breaking out of that descending range, right? We got above that $7 level, tapped around that 11 where we couldn't break out of as we examined on the weekly. So this pushes to the bottom of that range, but then we find a movement up trying to break through that $11 level. We wick there, but price definitely tries to find a breakout as we break through that descending range as well as that $11 level for a little bit. That doesn't last, so we get pushed back down within this descending range and below that 11 once again. Hit the top of that, we get pushed down to the bottom of this range, and instead of continuing within this range, price really tightens up given how volatile this entire range was right here, guys, and we kind of find some ascending support, tightening up, and then we kind of just break through that zone. So we don't see some extreme volatility like we did see right here. Instead, we kind of just break through that zone in a nice tighter fashion. Once we do get to the top, we do see a pretty nice green wide bar breaking us through there, and sellers try to step back in, pushing us below that 7, which has been very, very stubborn as we've seen in the past, guys. Just tough to stay above. Chopped around there for a while between that 11 and 7, but really just a tough zone to stay above, and we've seen that overall. So we did try to get pushed back below that $7 zone. Buyers did not like that. We get a huge gap up and continuation, which took 1 week to find all-time highs of 1542. So we created a textbook squeeze out of this descending range. So I try to get back in that control, and we find a very huge squeeze to that 1542, and we see a textbook small retracement. So we can't retrace this entire movement. We see that small retracement, and we meet back up with this ascending support like we saw right here. Ride that support for a couple of days, find that bounce, and it leads us back to the top of that resistance. And so let's try to step in, see some nice buying pressure on these candles here. And then the most recent candle was a red day as we close at 1075. So we see a little bit of back and forth. Looks like we are tightening up, getting ready for that next big move. Volume is slowly declining, so if we can see a increase in volume, as well as this price really tighten up here, got to get tight within this range, a little bit of back and forth, and then somebody has to win. And we see a nice squeeze effect up. Definitely a probability here, guys, as APLD has been very volatile recently, and buyers have been in that ultimate control. So definitely what you could be seeing, a continuation movement up after getting within a tighter range. And we've seen just how, supportive this ascending support has been, just how strong it's been, right? We haven't gotten pushed below that once. We see a very nice just continuation of tight price action on this ascending support. So this can't get us below that once. You don't even see a bottom wick below that level. Get a nice shift in momentum showing this very obvious green wide bar. Someone has to win here, breaking out of this descending channel, and buyers make that very clear as we see that green price action showing very much a shift in price momentum, leading us to the break of that $7 level. And sellers try to push us down, but we see a very, very tight candle leading to that huge gap up and move up. And once we get back down to that ascending support, guys, once again, bounce off it twice, move up. There's zero selling momentum trying to break us through here. This ascending support has been incredibly strong. That's why our prediction here, guys, is that we kind of tighten up, meet back up with that ascending support as we're kind of tightening up with this resistance here, and we see a squeeze-like effect continuing our movement up. Now, guys, on the hourly, we see a better perspective of how nice this ascending support has been. As we trend back down here, we don't see really any price action trying to break below that level. Just ride that ascending support up, leading to that very huge move up. Once we come back down, it takes us several hourly candles to find that bounce, but we do find that bounce, and then we see a nice stair step like pattern. Get that move up, chop sideways, get that move up, chop sideways, get that gap up, move up, and chop up to around that resistance where we find that retracement. Can't retrace this more recent move up, and we kind of chop around, find a little bit of support around that 1058 level. Nice movement up, kind of getting tighter within this range as we've seen a little bit of chop here. A little bit of chop here as we move down. So really that 1058 to $11 level is pretty prominent within the structure. Kind of looking like we're going to tighten up between those two price levels leading up to this ascending support and this resistance where we could find a squeeze-like effect. So we do see very volatile price action, and we do see the act of tightening price action. So we are getting tighter as time goes on. So next couple of days is going to be very important to see if we can get tighter price action as volume continues to decline. Energy starts to build up here, guys. We could be seeing a textbook energy building phase and then a very nice drastic move out. So hourly looks great as we meet back up with that ascending support, showing how reactive APLD is to that support level. We predict that we will continue to get some tightening price action and a movement out of that zone, breaking through and possibly retesting that 1542 before we find more all-time highs. So let me know your price predictions in the comments below, guys. I think we look very nice here for APLD. I think we do get kind of tight here and find that squeeze-like effect up and continue our movement up, given this small retracement, this overall buyer presence that they do not want the stock to get pushed down. They're in that ultimate control on the daily as well as the hourly and on the weekly, guys. As we see here, we're kind of chopping around, lots of back and forth, but we do see that very drastic movement up and smaller retracement. This gives a better perspective here as we had to break out of that descending channel. We find that ascending support, and that ascending support has been nothing but extremely strong. I think if bears get in control, it'll have to be sooner than later, breaking us below that ascending support, right? If they do end up really breaking us through that ascending support, that's when you see a little bit room to the downside, right? Retesting that $7 level, that being a very important level there, both support and resistance. But I do think that we get that push up and we remain bullish. Now, if you guys enjoyed and want to see more APLD content, make sure to like and subscribe. Be patient with this one, guys. I think we are tightening up here, getting in a tighter phase after a very nice move up and a bit of a retracement. And as always, guys, trade smart. I'll see you all on the next one.